Welcome to the Typical Sportsman podcast. We are in our turkey series, and this episode, we've got Mr. Aaron Warbritton from the Hunting Public, and he is going to cover gear, he is going to cover shot placement, and then he's going to cover tips and tricks to be more successful in the turkey woods. Also, in our rapid fire segment, you're going to get some dirt on the THP boys. It's incredibly funny. You get to figure out which one of them would be in a boy band if given the opportunity. Guys, it is an incredibly informational episode. Aaron Warbritton is no stranger to killing a lot of turkeys, and he is here to help you be more successful in the turkey woods. Don't forget, we have our turkey hunting giveaway going on right now. You're going to get entered to win a free chance to come to Kansas on a guided turkey hunt, as well as all the gear in order to go on that hunt. All you've got to do, subscribe to the Typical Sportsman channel on YouTube or subscribe to the Typical Sportsman podcast on Spotify. One of those two things is going to get you entered to win a free guided turkey hunt in Kansas with Skeen Outfitters, as well as all the gear to go along with it. This entire series is brought to you by my incredible friends over at Blocker Outdoors. Good gear does not have to break the bank. And as you'll hear from Aaron, it is way more enjoyable to just find good gear and go out and enjoy hunting and not overcomplicate it. And that's what Blocker Outdoors does. From their vests to their chest harness to their clothing, they make quality gear that's not going to break the bank, and they make it in really good patterns. Guys, as you gear up for turkey season, go check out Blocker Outdoors. I promise you, you'll be glad you did, and you don't have to spend as much money on good clothing as you think you might have to. Let's jump in with Mr. Aaron Warbritton and talk about gear, shot placement, and tips for killing more turkeys.
For the true sportsman, it's more than a pastime. It's a way of life. Embrace the lifestyle of hunting, fishing, and the thrill of the wild. Live the life. Be typical.
You know, everybody wants to focus on the new hunting gear, the latest and greatest technology out there to get out in the woods with. However, let me challenge you on something. I spend a lot more time in the gear and the clothing that I'm using to get ready for season than I do even in the gear that I'm using inside of season. So the gear that I'm using to train, to get into the elk woods, to stay in shape, to get healthy, to stay healthy, to prepare for the backcountry, I'm spending a lot more time in that gear than I am in the gear that I'm using in the backcountry. So why is it that we never even consider that stuff? And it's been a long time coming that a company would produce training athletic gear for the hunter. Listen, there's a lot of people out there that produce a lot of great training and athletic gear. Nobody's arguing that. But are they making it for the backcountry hunter, for the outdoorsman, for the sportsman? I don't think so. Oryx Outdoors is doing just that. Purpose-built athletic training gear with the hunter in mind. And they're producing some really cool pieces like the new hoodie that has a spot for my Garmin to show through so I can track my workout and see my workout. From their shorts to their joggers to their shirts to their hoodies, it is all built to let me train in, and it has me as the hunter in mind. But they're also a company that is supporting you as a hunter. Guys, if you are looking to get some new athletic gear to train in, to go on your runs, to go on your lift, to do your lifts, to hit the gym in, go check out Oryx Outdoors. It is purpose-built athletic training gear with you, the hunter, in mind. And you can use code TYPICAL in all caps for 15% off. Go check out Oryx Outdoors for your next and your favorite hunting athletic training apparel. Aaron Warbritton, how the heck are you, man?
I'm all right. Just got back from NWTF and haven't got any sicknesses yet. So we're That's on the up and up there. How you been, man?
Busy, dude. And listen, I'm not, for those that know, like the point of this series is becoming a turkey hunter. And so I've always said, like, I'm not going to NWTF. I hate turkey hunting. And it always falls during the same time as Western Hunt Expo, which is my favorite show. But this year, like, I was watching pictures and reels come through of NWTF, and I'm like, dude, it is just like Western Hunt Expo, but it's a goofy redneck crowd. Like, that's what I need. And listen, I'm not trying to offend nobody, but I'd rather hang out with my rednecks in Bottomland than my guys in Sitka. Like, that's just where I'm at. And so I'm like, dude, I'm making NWTF next year. So that's kind of what got me fired up to the turkey series too, just watching all those guys. And I'm like, man, it's something I want to like. You know what I mean? Like, I want to fall in love with it. And so that's the point of this series, man. Look at it with new eyes. Just kind of start over as a turkey hunter. Throw out all the things that I know, all the things I grew up with, just sitting in a blind and you call them in over a decoy and shoot them, it's over. Like, not a lot of fun there. You know what I mean? And so my goal for this is to look at turkey hunting with a new set of eyes and just kind of start over from scratch. And so that's my hope for the listener. Whether you've never turkey hunted before, you can start with episode 1, where Michael Waddell just fires me up to go turkey hunting, and then progress through the series and just learn how to turkey hunt from the ground up. So my hope is that if you're a turkey hunter, you'll learn something from these guys, because I have assembled the baddest turkey hunters I could. And, or if you've never turkey hunted before, you can digest this in March and go turkey hunting in April. That is my goal for this. So with Mr. Aaron, we're going to cover your gear, all the gear that you need. And Aaron has already said openly that he's a minimalist when it comes to turkey hunting, which I want to dissect. Let's just dive into a myth real quick. Not a myth, my thinking. Do you think that turkey hunters are the least amount, they buy into stupid gimmicks less than any other hunters? Would you agree with that?
I don't know. I just came from NWTF and there was quite a few gimmicks running around in there.
Oh man, like, you look at whitetail hunting and there's like so many, like these guys will fall into anything if they think they can shoot a bigger deer with it. And turkey hunters seem like, nope, that's the 410 I've always used. Those are the shells I've always used. That's the camo I've always worn. I'm going turkey hunting.
I think there's a lot of them like that. Yes. But there's definitely, just like deer hunting, I mean, it doesn't fit in a box. You could talk to 5 guys and all 5 of them hunt a little bit differently. Like, you may hunt with a stick bow, and the next guy may hunt with a crossbow, and the next guy may hunt with a compound, and the next guy may hunt with a muzzleloader. That's just on weapons. Right. One guy may believe in rattling deer. One guy may say rattling scares every deer out of the county. It's just you get the same thing within the turkey hunting crowd too.
And that's what I believe. That's why I believe I haven't fallen in love with turkey hunting, is because there's all these different tactics in turkey hunting. And I haven't experienced a tactic where I'm like, dude, that was awesome. You know what I mean? And so I do understand what you're saying. Like, there's so many different ways and styles of turkey hunting. Some guys tuck them into bed at night and they know right where they're at in the morning and they drop down over their head. And I'm like, that doesn't seem fun to me. Like, that doesn't get me fired up. And so that's why I wanted to be joined by Nate Hosey, who, we almost fist fought at ATA when I told him I wasn't a turkey hunter. And so I figured he would be the guy to kind of tackle the tactics and help me find one that really just, that I would fall in love with. And so, but I did, like, as I was getting ready for this episode and talking about gear, I'm like, man, it seems like turkey hunters, more than any other style of hunting, seem like they don't buy into the gimmicks as much. So
I
starting with,
don't. I'm a minimalist.
I don't think any of the hunting public guys fall into any gimmicks in anything, which is what I like.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, like you said, using the same 410 forever. My dad gave me a Remington 870 12 gauge when I was 12 years old, and I've hunted with that same gun. And I'm almost 40.
Dude, so. I almost cried this year. I upgraded my shotgun, and I had an 870 that, dude, I killed everything with that gun. Like, and I grew up a duck hunting fiend. Like, I spent many, many, many days in a duck blind with that gun. And it was time to upgrade. Honestly, I was going to a shoot with some like distinguished fellas, and I'm like, they're all going to be rolling in there with their over-unders that cost, more than my truck. And I have this pump 870, like, I need to upgrade this gun. And so I finally did. And it was sad, dude. Like, it really was.
I finally put a new stock on mine because the butt was getting so splintered. Yeah. And I had one of my buddies, Grant, that I went to high school with, is like a really experienced gunsmith. And he took a look at it. He's like, dude, you got to change the stock on this. He said, one of these days that stock's going to splinter when you shoot a turkey with a 3-inch load, and it's going to smack you in the face. Yeah. He said it, and who knows what else could happen. He's like, you could get a freaking splinter off this stock shoved in your neck when you shoot. I mean, he just started scaring me when he was talking to me. I was like, okay, I'll put a new stock on it. But I didn't want to change anything.
Yeah. No, I got you, man.
I am very, very minimalistic though, especially with turkey hunting. I take less stuff to the woods turkey hunting than I do hunting anything else.
Which, so I do want to build on like, what is your bare minimum? Like, what do you have to have? So that way, if somebody is brand new to turkey hunting, they know like, here's what I need to go buy for sure. But then I want to build out that list of things that like, I don't carry this, but it is, a lot of guys do. It's beneficial. Cause that's one thing I wanted to immediately ask. Like, you see these big turkey vests and there's belts all around it, and you could put all this different stuff, and it's got a seat that falls down. And I'm like, man, turkey hunters are kind of bougie. Like, they don't want to sit their butt in the mud, and they want to. So what is the minimalist gear that you pack to go turkey hunting?
Gun and 3 or 4 shells. Number 1. Camo is also way more important, in my opinion, turkey hunting than it is for deer hunting, elk hunting, anything like that. So making sure that you have your gloves, your face net, camo hat, camo pants, camo shirt, whatever. Making sure that you have those things is like, that's priority number 1. You can get by without a face mask or gloves every once in a while. It's like that. It's not the end of the world. You got to have a shotgun, obviously, or a bow or whatever weapon that you decide to take. But I know a lot of guys that take like a full box of shells with them to the woods. I'm trying to cut the weight as much as possible because I'm moving around a lot turkey hunting. Sometimes, many, many miles a day.
Yeah.
Whereas with deer hunting, often we're going and we're setting up in one spot. So we're packing a lot of gear to one spot, then we're setting it all up, and then we're sitting there. That's not what we do turkey hunting. We're on the move way more. So I'm trying to be light and concealed. So yeah, I mean, that's the first 2 things. After that, I bring my turkey calls, and I don't bring very many at all. I mean, I do have a turkey vest, but there's not much in it. I've got my headlamp in there with extra batteries for it because I always need it. I've got an ink pen to fill out whatever license I have in case I need to do that. Maybe some tape to attach a permit to a turkey's leg or something, depending on where I'm at and what the regulations are. And then a couple of turkey calls. And then my seat on the back of my vest. I like having a padded seat because you're sitting sometimes on the ground for an hour or 2 or more on a particular bird. But there's really, I mean, those are kind of the high level things. I mean, I bring a few other little dealios, I guess, inside the vest, but my calls, my gun, my camo, that's number 1, and my tags, obviously.
So, do you think, and this is just a question of curiosity, do you think if you weren't toting around a bunch of camera gear that you might, be more free to add a few things? And if you were, like, what would be the first things of like, I would add this?
Nope, not anymore. As the older I've got, the less stuff I take.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
I used to use decoys a bunch. I don't hardly use them at all anymore. I still use them maybe a couple times a year, but I probably only use them 5% of the time.
Really?
Yep, I don't use them.
So you don't think, and again, new turkey hunter, like new to the game, like if I'm going to call for deer, I'm of the opinion, and let's just equate this to deer real quick. The more variables that you can add in to let that deer know, like if I'm going to call, I want them to have a visual to see. And
I
if
would
I'm
agree
going to
with
have
that, especially with deer.
Okay, so where does the difference lay with
Turkey's
turkeys?
not going to get your wind like a deer. Yeah, as you know, if you call to a deer and you don't have a visual aid, they may come in. If they don't see the source of that sound, the next thing they're doing is heading downwind.
Yeah, right.
And that's obviously a problem. But with a turkey, that's you don't have to worry about the wind. You got to worry about their eyes. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because, well, if they can see really well, why not put a decoy out there?
That's what I was thinking.
I've found that decoys work extremely well for certain turkeys, and they don't work well at all for certain turkeys. And most of the time, I have no idea who I'm dealing with when he's gobbling over there. So I've found that learning to hunt them more often without a decoy has actually made us more successful.
That's
I think
good.
you're going to kill more turkeys. Now, not with a bow. If you're bow hunting, that's a different deal. But I think you're going to ultimately kill more turkeys if you learn to hunt without a decoy and just rely on woodsmanship.
That's a good point, man. So when you're calling to a bird, and the reason I ask this is because I've always used a decoy, so like this is where they're coming.
But have you ever had one shy away from a decoy?
I've honestly never turkey hunted in Kansas, which is where I live now. And so I grew up hunting the Ozarks, and you can't see much further. So it's either like you either saw them come in and they were at your decoy, or you don't know where they hung up, why they hung up, So
Sure.
like, maybe they did see the decoy through there and didn't hang up, but I had birds hang up, obviously, but I don't know why they did or, what caused it. Could have very well been the decoy. But the question I was asking is, if there's no decoy, where do you anticipate them? How do you anticipate them coming to you? Just if that makes sense at all.
Oh yeah, definitely. As you start to call birds in, you figure out the weaknesses in your setups, especially after you call one in and fail. Like he comes in, he hangs up, he comes in, he pops his head over the ridge and he sees you and he takes off putting and running. If you go out there and you get on the ground about the height of the turkey's head to see what its perspective was, then you can look back at your setup and you can start to analyze and identify what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Because a turkey, they have this uncanny ability to pinpoint the sound. I don't know. It's like sonar in their brain, but they can hear you calling from that tree that you're sitting on. And they can literally come to that spot. And when I'm talking that spot, I mean like a 4-foot square. They know exactly where that sound is coming from. So when you start to understand that, you can manipulate where you put the turkey just by casting that sound either a certain direction or from a certain point. So before you even sit down on a turkey or before you even call to one, think about, where's a good place for me to kill this bird? I need him at about 30 yards in this opening on the middle of this ridge. That would be a perfect place for me to kill him. So I need to convince him to come to this spot. Where do I need to call in order to get him to this spot? Instead, what a lot of folks do is they just sit down and they start calling. And they may or may not call that turkey in, and they may or may not kill him some of the time. But starting to understand how to manipulate them with sound and to communicate with them with sound will help you. I mean, you just got to do it a bunch to eventually figure that out and be okay with, failure. Because you're definitely, when you don't have a decoy, your setup and your camo and everything is so important because they're coming in and they're looking for you. The decoy takes the attention and the focus off of you when it's out there. So you can get by with subpar setups. But when you don't have that, your setup's got to be pretty dialed.
Yeah.
However, the advantage is that you can work any turkey that's interested in a hen. So if it's a subdominant gobbler that might potentially hang up or spook from a strutting tom decoy or a Jake decoy, you can still kill that turkey when you're not using a decoy, because he's interested in coming into that hen. You can also kill the dominant gobblers because they're also interested in coming into it.
Yeah.
Hen. It's the very basics of the mating season in the spring for a male turkey. They're interested in getting with the opposite sex, and that's what you're imitating when you're calling.
So
obviously,
back on the gear. Let's talk shotguns and let's talk archery builds. So shotguns. What kind of gun do you recommend somebody to turkey hunt with?
Whatever you gain confidence in is fine. There's so much stuff out there when it comes to turkey guns. I mean, you could spend a ton of money on a turkey gun, a ton of money on a choke, a ton of money on your shells with all this new TSS and stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. I mean, it's nice, sure, but you don't need it. You need, I mean, at its very basic level, I love a good pump shotgun. A 20 gauge would be fine. A 12 gauge, I mean, a 410 or a 28 is probably fine, but then you need to start thinking about using TSS when you go to some of those smaller constrictions.
Yeah.
But a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge with a number 4, 5, or 6 lead load, even a 2 3/4 inch shell, and just a good full or extra full turkey choke. I mean, they make a pile of different ones. What I would recommend doing is just picking a shotgun. I like a pump, and I'll explain why. I think pumps are the safest option. And what we do, turkey hunting accidents happen a lot of times because people walk around the woods with their guns loaded. And I started doing this maybe 20 years ago whenever we started filming a lot. So I always had somebody with me. I was like, and you know, occasionally you trip and fall, or occasionally you hear a turkey and you swing to turn that direction and your barrel, you know, is pointed in funky angles. It just is safer when you're walking around the woods and you're slipping up on a turkey to not have the gun loaded.
Yeah.
I don't load the gun turkey hunting until we actually set up on a bird, or until we get close enough that we're like in his bubble and things are about to happen. And I can load my pump gun extremely quiet. Like I just put a shell in the chamber and close it very slowly on my 870 until it clicks and locks into place. A lot of times I already have a shell in the magazine, but that keeps me safe and keeps everybody with me safe. So the gun is only loaded whenever you're in crunch time. It's not loaded 90% of the time we're in the woods. I mean, I turkey hunt a lot of days where that gun is never loaded because we never set up on a bird.
Yeah.
So I like a pump. And as far as chokes go, if you don't know which choke to get, just grab a full choke or grab a couple of different turkey chokes that fit your model weapon and just practice shooting. Like a patterning board. A patterning board is just, you could throw a piece of poster board out in your yard, you know, up against a tree at 30 yards and pattern the thing. You know, draw a turkey's head on it, or you can buy some of those shoot and see targets or whatever from Bass Pro. Go out there and shoot the different chokes with the different loads that you have and see which one performs best. That's a must do before turkey season. You want to know how your gun performs, how it shoots, and what your effective range is. But in all honesty, dude, if you got a full choke with just a pump 20 or 12 gauge and a 3-inch number 5 lead load, which are really, they're way cheaper than TSS now, you're fine to kill turkeys out to 30 and 40 yards.
All right. So cover bare minimum. Like, what I mean by that is like, okay, that's a little bit too light of a load. And then cover like max load. Like, all right, now you're getting too big. Now you're just going to obliterate the turkey. You know what I mean? And then max distance for each. That way, just kind of as they look to build their gun out and know like, all right, this is what I'm looking for. I want to be able to shoot at 40 yards. So what I need to do that, or, you know, if I go this small, I can only shoot at 20 yards, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I would say, and this is going to vary a lot. I mean, I know guys that hunt with dove loads and do fine.
Yeah.
They just don't shoot past 25 yards, you know, and they take good high odds shots in open scenarios. They're not shooting through a bunch of brush or anything, but I would recommend some kind of a high brass 3-inch load. And if you don't want to deal with the kick of a 3-inch load, you could shoot a 2 3/4. My dad has shot a 2 3/4 inch number 5 or 6, basically high brass pheasant load out of his old Winchester Model 12 forever. And that thing just is a built-in full choke barrel on it. He kills turkeys out to 30 yards with it. He's probably not going to shoot one at 40 with it, even though he could probably still kill it. His effective range is 30, 35 yards max with that type of a setup. You know, and I've got sort of I've got kind of a beginner setup in my gun still. I mean, just an old 870 with a 28-inch barrel and a HS Undertaker tube in it that's 25 years old. It's rusted into the gun pretty much. And I shoot a 3-inch Winchester Supreme number 4, 5, or 6. I like the 4s and 5s. They tend to pattern a little bit better out of my gun than the 6s. But 50 yards is my max. And I will only shoot one that far if it's a wide open situation and the turkey's holding still with his head, craned up, where I've got a good target to shoot at, not strutting. But 95% of the turkeys I kill are between 15 and 30. So that's the sweet spot.
When you're talking a spread and you're talking go out and, draw a turkey's head on cardboard, how tight does that need to be? Like at what distances? You know what I mean?
That's a good question, because there's give and take there. A lot of people want it super tight so they can shoot further. But the disadvantage you have there is the tighter your constriction, the more accurate you got to be at close ranges. And I've seen a lot of those folks that set up these long range, tight shooting turkey guns miss turkeys inside of 15 yards because their pattern is like the size of your fist or smaller.
That's a good point.
And when turkeys get inside of that distance, they're you can't move as much. They're way more apt to seeing you and then getting the heck out of there. So imagine trying to shoot a turkey that's bobbing his head, running off at 12 yards with a pattern the size of your fist.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's very, very difficult to do. So there's kind of a happy medium there. If you get one, if you shoot a modified or an improved cylinder choke and you're spraying your pattern, you're only going to get 25 yards out of your gun or so. I mean, that's just, I'm just being anecdotal here. I don't know the actual numbers.
Right. No, I got you.
Need to shoot it and figure that out yourself. But I like a gun that shoots a condensed pattern, maybe say 1.5 feet, 2 foot wide at your core distance of 25 yards. But I like for that to be a consistent pattern from 10 to 40.
Yeah.
Because that's where the majority of my shots are occurring. And I just shoot a bead on my gun. I don't shoot any sort of, lighted sight or red dot or anything like that. I just have the regular bead on it, and it does just fine. And the thing I like about my gun is probably every other turkey that I kill, the bead is not dead center on the middle of his head. It is very close, but it gives me margin for error.
Yeah.
Especially when I can kill him in that ideal distance of 25 to 35 yards. I can be just a hair off and he can still get smashed by that pattern.
Right. No, that makes sense. Now, do you primarily, based off the way you're talking, I'm guessing you primarily turkey hunt with a gun. Do you ever turkey hunt with a bow?
I used to. I don't as much anymore. I like turkey hunting with a bow. It's fun, but I enjoy communicating one-on-one with the bird with no blind. I like doing that more, and that suits. I just like packing a shotgun for those situations. If I'm going to turkey hunt with a bow, most of the time I'm in a fixed position. I'm not running and gunning as much. I've got a blind out there and a decoy because I'm trying to get that bird to, 10, 12 yards where I can put a good shot on him, right on the wing butt. It's just harder to, as you know, probably it's harder to hide from a turkey with a bow because you've got to, with no blind, especially because there's so much more movement involved when it comes to drawing your bow back and trying to shoot a turkey that's getting spooked at 25 yards with a bow on the ground. I mean, it ain't like shooting a deer. The target you're shooting at is very small, and it's kind of in a funky area of the turkey. It's not center body, it's high center body where the wing butt meets. And you're shooting at a spot the size of your fist. So I think the most ethical way probably to shoot them or to hunt them with a bow is a blind and decoys and trying to get that 10 to 15 yard shot. Gotcha.
Now, if you are going to hunt with a bow, as far as the actual gear goes, like what kind of broadhead are you running? Do you change your arrow setup? Do you want a lighter, faster arrow? Like or do you still shoot 9,000 grains at a turkey?
There's a bunch of ways to skin the cat there. Honestly, you don't need a ton of energy to get through a turkey.
Right.
I've shot some faulty broadheads in the past that did not get adequate penetration on a turkey, even shooting really fast setups. But most of those aren't even for sale on the market nowadays. We always had great luck. These aren't even available out there anymore. But you remember the old rocket broadheads?
Dude, that's what I was going to say.
Turkey tomahawks.
That's
is what
exactly
they made.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
They were like a 2 3/4 inch cut. Those things were absolute devastation. And we learned that they were going to quit making them. And me and Greg bought like a case of the things just so we would have enough to last us for a while. But honestly, you could crank your poundage down on your bow. Just being able to get drawn back smoothly, quietly, and with as little movement as possible is more important on a turkey, just because their eyesight is so good. And like I said, the majority of your shots are going to be inside of 20 yards anyway. So you're not really worried as much about trajectory with it. But I really like those big mechanicals with turkeys.
Yeah.
Just because you're shooting at such a small spot, and it's hard to explain, but if you just take and look at a bunch of different videos or images of strutting turkeys, like half strut turkeys versus strutting turkeys versus turkeys that are facing away from you versus turkeys that are walking, like that kill zone is hard to decipher in a lot of those situations. You know, like on a deer, when it's standing there broadside, you can usually search for the crease. You can go right up the leg. You can look right behind the shoulder, and you're going to be right in the middle of the kill zone. Yeah. But on a turkey, that's different. I mean, right where their wing butt meets, almost the top of their back is where you want to hit them. So if you use a larger cutting diameter expandable, you get one of the blades to slice through there, they're toast. But if you hit just an inch or two low, like center body, you're just going through breast meat. You're not even hitting in the vitals.
And I would say that's why I want to cover shot placement, because, man, I believe the two hardest animals to cover shot placement on are bears and turkeys. And turkeys are probably even harder than bears because of what you just said, because there's so many different angles, and the angle changes so much. And, you know, it's so different than any other thing you would hunt. So two resources that I think are really good. I know you guys, I don't know if you just did it, but, you guys partnered with Ryan Kirby to do the art on your shirt. He has some really good graphics to show you shot placement on a turkey, to show you the anatomy of a turkey and shot placement facing different each ways. So I would definitely, if you are curious about shot placement on a turkey, which we're going to dive a little more into it, but if you're curious, I would definitely search Ryan Kirby turkey. If you just search that, you'll find it. And then also the new Delta McKenzie quiver targets is a technology that, and listen, I got so much hate for that when I posted a video about the quiver technology in a deer. And they're like, if you need that to kill a deer, you're stupid. And I'm like, or you've never deer hunted before and you have no idea where to shoot a deer at. Anyways, but I do think that piece of technology is very, very good to have on a turkey target if you've never turkey hunted before, because you could shoot your bow at it, scan it, and see where the arrow's going in, where it's coming out, and see if you're hitting vitals. Now, break down for me again, and I know it's really hard without, visuals, but as far as different angles, now with a gun, it's easy. Shoot them in the head, blow their head off. Now with a bow, walk me through different shot angles, different shot placements, as far as where the turkey's facing and how it might be coming in.
Well, the one thing I would be cautious about is a strutting turkey, because it gives you the illusion that you have a much larger target than you actually have. Right. So any turkey that's moving and strutting, but a lot of times they're like going side to side, they're turning their body, they're like pivoting. That is changing, by the millisecond almost as they're walking in. If you can get one to come into a decoy and just stand there and half strut for a couple seconds, your odds of putting the arrow in the right spot are going to go up. And what I always say is you go center mass, and then you go 2 inches high, right where the wing butt joint meets on a turkey. And it's almost better if you're I mean, you definitely need to look at Ryan Kirby's drawings to understand where
Yeah.
that's at. But it's so much higher than what you would expect. So if you're shooting for the same spot, whether he's in full strut or whether he's just standing there. But if he's in full strut, he has his wings all the way down, clear to the ground almost, because he's strutting. Whenever he's walking, he's got those wings tucked. So don't focus on the wing tip feathers. Focus on the base of the wing, the butt joint of the wing, because that's the spot that's not moving very often unless they're flying. That's the spot that's more fixed. If you get caught looking at the barred wing feathers down low, your pin's going to go there and your arrow's going to go there, and you're going to end up shooting one too low. You can still kill them that way. I mean, there's arteries and stuff in the tops of the legs. You can definitely still kill them, but you might be in for a rough track job.
Right.
So anchoring them in the wing butt, especially on a broadside turkey, is the best shot, because that goes clear through one side and through the other side. Well, then you've eliminated his ability to fly. And if you hit right there, that's the center of the vitals where his lungs and heart are at. So that's the best shot to take. You could take one facing directly away. You could shoot him in the head with like the Magnus bullhead broadheads. You could definitely do that, but you've got to change your arrow setup. A lot of times and I don't know much about this at all. I've never done it. So take that for a grain of salt, or with a grain of salt. But most of the guys I see do it need, bigger feathers, bigger veins to steer that huge broadhead.
Right.
But you can certainly kill them shooting them in the head. That's a good, ethical, quick way to do it.
Now, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can go back to facing away and facing towards you and all that stuff.
Yeah. The other one, facing towards, is probably my least favorite of the three. You can certainly kill them right there. I mean, if you shoot them right at the base of the neck, you might catch some of their neck and then the vitals. But man, if you hit them a little bit lower than that, like down around where the beard goes in, or just beneath that, and you have a downward angle, it's a bird, because maybe you're in a blind, you're in a chair, well, you're shooting at a turkey that's 1.5 feet lower than you, even in that situation. If that arrow slices downward before it gets to the vitals, you're going like down the side of his breast or something like that. And then you've got problems. The tricky thing is, a lot of times, especially as a new turkey hunter, you might get a bird there, get excited and shoot center body, and the arrow goes clean through him. And you're like, why isn't that thing dead? And he's like walking off. Well, that's because you missed that small vital area and you just cut through meat, essentially. And it may still kill him, but the other one is the facing away. And that one's a good shot to take. You go right in the center of their back if they're just standing or walking, and that will anchor them. It's basically where those wing butts joints meet, right in the middle of their back. If you hit them right there, it's going to anchor them, and you're going right through the center of the vitals. That's a good one. And then if they're strutting, right up the rump, right at the base of that tail fan is usually going to hit right there. So that's a good shot to take. But you can't be left or right. Like if you're left or right, 1.5 inches, either direction, you're going to miss the vitals. Often.
Now, I should have looked this up before I brought it up, because I can't remember actually what he said, but I remember Lee Lakosky taking kind of I don't want to say controversial stance on turkey shot placement. But if I remember correctly, he was talking about something like shoot them in the legs and they can't run. Then just go out and kill them. And I'm like, have you ever heard that?
I have heard that. I don't agree with that. You're shooting at just as small of a target that is further away from the vitals. You're just asking for problems. I mean, if you shoot just a little bit low, you miss them. If you shoot just a little bit high, you're in the breast meat. Yeah. I mean, it in theory would work, especially if you're shooting at a broadside turkey. You could take out their legs and then get out there and get on them. But I've seen Greg kill so many turkeys with a bow, dude. Like I have never seen him hit and lose one.
Really?
No, I've never seen. And like he grew up in Nebraska, where that's the culture of turkey hunting. There is they open earlier, and their archery season opens before their bow season. So he's hunted them, 30 years with a bow, killing multiple birds a season with a bow. And he is all about that wing butt with that turkey tomahawk broadhead. It's like a bigger expandable.
Yeah.
And he hunts out of a blind for the most part, puts decoys out, fairly close, and is very, very particular about his shots. And we've got footage of, dozens of them getting hit in that wing butt joint with Greg, and the birds are anchored. They go nowhere. I mean,
yeah,
they usually just die right there on camera, no different than if you just shot them with a shotgun.
Right. So before we move on, I do want to ask you, since you are a minimalist, if you were to add some pieces of gear, what are some gear you've seen people add that you're like, yeah, that's beneficial? Like if I was going to add something, that would be something to add.
Man, that's a good question. Sometimes I'll bring like contractor bags or just like some fold up waders, and I'll put those in the back of my turkey vest because they don't weigh nothing, and it allows me to get across a creek or a river or whatever. And consequently, when you're hunting turkeys, a lot of times you're hunting riparian areas, or you're hunting an area where there's some sort of permanent water.
Right.
And I'm just more comfortable in hiking boots than I am, your typical mud boots or whatever. I also think hiking boots can be a little quieter. And they're not as hot, in turkey season. It's springtime. You're starting to get warmer weather. So I like a light pair of comfortable hiking boots, and then throw that in case I need to cross water of some description.
That's a good point. Cause I said I haven't turkey. I did hunt turkey hunted one time in Kansas. And I had to cross a pretty deep creek, and I was like, this is stinking stupid, dude. Had to take my boots off, chunk them across, roll my pants up, walk across. And I'm like, turkey hunting's dumb. Yeah. And so that's a good point. That's a good piece of gear.
I would throw that in. I like those turkey totes a lot. You don't need them. You can just throw the turkey over your shoulder and pack him out. But turkey tote is nice. We have these little paracord turkey totes that we throw in that weigh nothing, and one end goes around the head, the other end goes around the leg, and then you can just use it as a strap and pack it out over your shoulder instead of putting the legs over your shoulder. And I'll use that tote if I have to pack one out really far. If I don't have to go that far, I just throw them over my shoulder the good old fashioned way and pack them out like that. So that one's not mission critical, but it's a nice little added piece of gear.
Right.
I might throw a container of face paint in there, or an extra head net in case I forget my head net or leave it somewhere. As far as calls go, I don't pack a lot of them, but I pack, I always bring an extra striker and maybe a piece of sandpaper or conditioning stones or whatever I need to basically maintain a quality surface on my call. That's important.
Yeah.
And even having a cover on your pot call so that the surface can't get, can't rub on the inside of your pocket and then get smooth and harder to run. So I'll always have some sort of conditioning equipment in there. I mean,
that's a good point.
It depends on the surface. Your box call could be chalk. Slate call could be just like a little Brillo pad and a piece of sandpaper. Same with a glass call. Although the glass call, I like to use a stone. That seems to, rough that surface up a little better and a little quicker than a piece of sandpaper. But I always bring sandpaper to sand the tips of my strikers, or a lighter. That works too.
Yeah. Very cool. As far as gear goes, what do you think the most, and coming off in WTF, you can, maybe you saw something at the show. What do you think the biggest piece of gimmick gear is where you're just like, dude, that's so stupid?
Oh man. That's a good question. There's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of the calls that are out there, you definitely don't need. I mean, there's so many call companies now, and there's so many different calls that are getting made. I mean, that Bo Brooks gobble tube was new this year, and that's kind of interesting to me. That's definitely a new one.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's pretty user friendly, but I've only messed with it a little bit. However, I see lots of other, weird tube calls or whatever that, I mean, nothing against a tube call. Tube calls can be great, but you really don't need a bunch of different turkey calls. I mean, it's great. If you want to experiment with a bunch of different turkey calls, by all means, do it. Buy them, chalk your vest full of the things for all I care. Use whatever the heck you want. But as far as having success in the woods, I think you're better off picking like one or two different styles of calls and getting really good at them.
Yeah.
And really confident in them, and then maybe having one spare with you, and that's it. It's turkey hunting and turkey calling is much more about making the right sound in the right place at the right time than it is which call you're running. Yeah. The turkey don't care.
Now, before we get to Aaron Warbritton's tips on killing turkeys, I want to remind you that we have the turkey hunt giveaway going on where you get to come to Kansas on a guided turkey hunt, and I'm going to deck you out with all the gear that you need. So all you've got to do to enter that is like and subscribe on YouTube or on Spotify to the podcast. Either one, like and subscribe to the Typical Sportsman on Spotify or on YouTube, and you'll be entered to win that free Kansas turkey hunt as well as all the gear to go on the turkey hunt. But before we get to the tips, you get to go through the gauntlet of our new series, our new segment that we're doing, which is rapid fire questions presented by my good buddies over at Tito Knives. And I spent some time last night thinking like, man, how can I really get some dirt on the THP boys? And so I figured I would just throw them into the rapid fire questions. We're going to start off easy. What's your favorite state to turkey hunt in?
Missouri, where I grew up.
What is a state you've always wanted to turkey hunt in but haven't got to yet?
Ooh, that's hard. That
just means you've got to turkey hunt all the states you want to turkey hunt in.
Maybe Utah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Favorite snack in the turkey woods?
Kind bar.
No, I'm going to save that one. All-time favorite call?
Oh, man. Probably mouth call.
Well, I could specific call. Do you have a specific favorite?
I like that Woodhaven jackhammer, but I used to make a bunch of my own calls when I was calling competitively. I like a bat wing style cut or a combo cut.
Okay. What is the biggest turkey hunting myth that you think is out there?
That gobblers get call shy.
Okay. If you forget toilet paper, what are you wiping with?
Leaves or a sock or a sleeve.
There you go. If it wasn't for THP, what would you be doing?
I'd be making hunting videos somewhere. It's the only thing I know how to do.
All right. Which THP member is always forgetting something?
Oh, man. The majority of us. Probably Zinger. Probably Zach.
Who is your least favorite THP member to turkey hunt with? Don't give me the camaraderie answer of like, oh, they're all beautiful guys in their own way.
I mean, they are all really fun to hunt with. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one because I like hunting with each of them. They all have their own different, unique style. It kind of depends on what mood. It almost depends on what mood I'm in. If I'm in the run and gun mood and I'm like super fired up and keyed up and ready to go and kill one, I don't want to go with Greg because he's more chill, relaxed. Let's slowly analyze. Let's figure out where we need to go, what we need to do. But if I'm not in that mood, then I want to go with Greg because he's everything I just said. So, and it's, Zach is more of your like easygoing, let's figure it out as we go type hunter. A lot of times Zach will even get out there like at 30 minutes after daylight or an hour after daylight just to get more rest or whatever. And then just kind of feel it out and figure out how it goes after that. I love hunting like that when I have time. But if I'm somewhere where I only have like 2 days, I am way more anal than that. I'm like, we got to be up. We got to have our crap on by 3. We got to be at the spot by this time. We got to be under the turkey by this time. Like, make sure not to make any noise. I mean, I'm just super like anal about that. So it kind of depends on the mood I'm in, I guess.
All right. So the only two that you named, we're going to say Zach and Greg are your two least favorite to hunt with.
Well, I mean, I could talk about Ted and Jake and Nick and all those guys. I love hunting with Nick though, because man, he's going to make a freaking great meal at the end of the day that I have no idea how to cook. So
yeah,
he's awesome to have around camp, and he's always a good morale booster. Honestly, I'm more critical of myself than any of those guys, just because I think I'm probably the most difficult one to hunt with out of the whole bunch, if I'm being honest. Like, if
I was gonna say, if you can't think of your least favorite, that means you're the least favorite.
I'm probably the least favorite. Like, no kidding. If you asked everybody in the group, they would probably say, I don't know, Warb a little much for me sometimes. I bet that's what they'd say.
That's funny,
and that would be accurate, because like I said, I get really intense sometimes.
Yeah. If you find yourself in jail, which THP member are you calling to come get you out?
Jake.
If you got the phone call that one of the THP members was in jail, who would it be and why?
It'd probably be Jake.
So that's why you're calling him, because he's your partner in crime, huh?
Yeah, it'd probably be Jake, and it'd probably be something just ridiculous. Like, yeah, I went to jail because, my grandpa speared a sturgeon, and I grabbed the spear and it accidentally came out and it hit one of my buddies in the shoulder, and now I'm in jail for whatever reason. It'd be some crazy story like that. I don't know.
That's funny. Which THP member is most likely to sleep in and miss opening day?
Probably Zinger. Probably Zach, but it could be Jake.
If THP,
no, it's probably Greg. Greg has a hard time waking up.
Okay.
He is not a morning person.
Sounds like they all might have some issues, because you started and this guy.
No, it's probably not Jake. I got to develop my thoughts. These are tough rapid fires, but I would say Greg is not a morning person. Like,
me neither, man.
He's got to set like 10 alarms to be able to get up a couple hours before daylight.
Me too. My college dorm room hate me because I ended up plugging my phone into a stereo system. That way, like in the morning when it went off, it was playing through the stereo system, and I still didn't wake up. So like the whole dorm room, like the whole building was like, dude, if you don't shut your alarm off, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, I'm trying. Like, I'm trying everything.
That's Greg. 100%.
If THP was a boy band, who would be the star?
Zach.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the hair, he's got to be.
Oh yeah.
He would be the lead dancer for sure.
Oh yeah, you can see him coming from a mile away. Yeah, with his hair. Oh yeah, he'd be up there.
Funny.
He's lead singer. Yeah, he's all about it. I'm on the drums.
All right. So what is your? Let's move into some tips. Just as people are getting ready for turkey season, and I don't know where it opens for everywhere else, but we're about a month out from it opening here. As people are getting ready for turkey season, what are some tips that you would share? Maybe they've never turkey hunted before, and you just say, hey, as you get ready, just here's a few basic tips to keep in mind.
Be prepared to fail, and try to, keep a positive attitude, and just learn something every time you go. That's like the number one most important thing. Don't worry if one comes in and spooks or whatever happens. Like, that's going to happen. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes. That's number one. I'm trying to think of what else I would.
So let me rephrase it. With that tip, let me just ask you this. What are some of the mistakes you made in the beginning where you're like, man, that was so easily avoidable, and if I would have just known differently, that wouldn't have happened?
Well, a lot of times turkeys gobble on the limb and then they fly down and they don't gobble. That occurs all the time. And 9 times out of 10, it's because they have hens. And that's just nature. They wake up in the morning, they call to the other birds in the trees around them, then they fly down with their hens and they go quiet. And I used to not be patient at all. I would sit there for 15 minutes and they wouldn't gobble, and I'd keep calling and they wouldn't gobble. So I'd get up and I'd leave, or I'd walk down in there and I'd spook the turkeys because they were right there. They just hadn't been saying anything.
Right.
So as I've gotten older, I've gotten way more patient, but I wasn't at the start, and I made a lot of mistakes because of that. So just have patience. I mean, that's a huge thing. Like, you're on the turkey's time. You can't, a lot is out of your control. Like, yes, you can call to him, and yes, you can get him to respond, and you can move on him. But if he has a bunch of hens with him and you have no way to get close to him without being detected, you're out of options other than just waiting them out or going and hunting a different turkey somewhere else and coming back later. You can make a lot of mistakes by pushing the issue on a turkey that's went quiet, that is henned up. Because the number one thing you don't want to do is go up there and spook the birds. A lot of people think that if you call too much, you're spooking them. I don't agree with that, as long as you're sounding somewhat realistic. That is way less damaging to a turkey than actually like walking up there and spooking them, or calling a bird in that comes in silent and he sees you at the last minute, and then you move over there and you try to shoot at him while he's flying away. That usually ends in a miss. And on top of that, the worst outcome is that you just spooked the turkey really hard. So he's likely to change his behavior now. He may move entirely. He may start, just behaving differently in a manner in which is harder to kill him.
Right.
Because you've been had, he figured you out. So try not to spook turkeys if you can avoid it.
For the guy that's a deer hunter and wanting to tackle turkey hunting, we all know like spooking deer is bad, but give them some time, they'll kind of work back into their normal routine. When you say spook a turkey and it changes everything, like what does that actually mean? You know what I mean?
Well, it depends on each situation, but for the most part, if a turkey receives consistent pressure and he doesn't get shot in that, and say it's a 2 or 3 day span and he gets spooked a handful of times by hunters, that turkey's going to be really difficult to kill. He's either going to move and leave the area entirely and go to an area where he's safe and often won't come back for maybe weeks on end, or he'll alter his behavior and he'll start, not gobbling, only strutting to call in hens, or he'll gobble a lot, but constantly walk the other direction, no matter what you do.
Right.
He's not going to go back over there where he encountered that problem, where he encountered that pressure. Yeah. It's no different than a deer. I mean, like if you softly bump a deer and the wind's in your face and he bounds off a little bit and then looks around, well, he doesn't know what you are. He just knows that something scared him, surprised him. He's probably going to ease off 200 or 300 yards and settle right back in and keep doing his thing. That's the same principle with turkeys. The problem, though, with turkeys is that their eyesight is incredible. So when they see you out there and they've visibly turn and take off running, they know what you are. Like it's a deer sometimes doesn't. Like a deer could look your direction in the woods and not, if it can't smell you, it may not know exactly what you are. It may know you're a threat and that you're out of place, but a turkey, I mean, so many times I've come up over a ridge and there was a turkey standing there and he cranes that head up and looks at me. And if you don't get down and out of sight immediately, like within a couple seconds, he's going to look at you and realize you're a person and be gone. Yeah. And if he's coming out to a field, he's going to be very difficult to kill in that spot. You can certainly do it. I'm not saying you can't, but a turkey that hasn't received a bunch of pressure is way easier to deal with than one that has. Whether that's public or private, doesn't matter. As the season goes on and they get more and more pressure, they just get harder and harder and harder to deal with.
Yeah. So what can the viewer, as far as THP and this turkey season goes, what do you guys got lined up for us?
We were just talking about that this morning, actually. We're going to go to a few new areas. I think we're going to California towards the end of March. That'd be cool. That'll be a first time that we've ever done that. And then we'll be going on a Miriam swing of some description for a week and a half around the end of April, early May. But I'm not sure what we're going to do beyond that. We may try to go back to the Northeast or out East. again towards the middle to end of April, end of May. We may go to the Northeast. Not sure. We haven't finalized May yet. We've basically got March taken care of and half of April. But we'll be traveling around. We'll be going to 10 to 15 different states for sure, with a couple new ones.
I've got a challenge that I've thrown out to a couple of people, and I've never seen them do it. And I think THP would be the crowd to do it. My challenge is you guys all draw names like Dirty Santa, and you get to assign that person a costume that they have to hunt in until they've killed something. I think that would be incredibly funny.
I think it would. I hope I don't get picked.
Well, like, man, like you could come up with some hilarious costumes, dude. Like,
oh yeah.
I can't even, like, man, dress up like Hillary Clinton or
probably be really hard to kill a turkey.
Yeah, you can do it for deer season. You can do it for deer season. But like, can you imagine shooting a deer like dressed as Santa or Barney or like that would be epically funny, dude.
Yeah, it would. I think the Phelps guys might have done that a few years ago with Jason Phelps, and he dressed up as Hulk Hogan and killed an elk like that.
Okay,
he was wearing like yellow spandex or something like that. I remember watching a video on YouTube not that long ago. But that's a good idea. Awesome. Yeah. I like it.
You guys should do it. I mean, your guys' personalities would fit it well, and I would like to see Zach like Daisy Duking out there. Like,
oh, he would do that 100%.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
you might not even have to have a contest to convince him to do that.
Yeah, that's just a double dog dare, man. And he's out there.
He might just give it a spin just for the heck of it.
You know what's funny? I speaking of his comical apparel, last time he was on, I made the comment that at ATA a couple years ago, I loved it because he showed up in a deer shirt, and he immediately just goes, "Oh yeah," like pulls it off, like it's sitting right next to him. He's like, "This shirt right here, 50 cents at a garage sale, man." And I'm like, see, the fact that you had it like on hand, ready, tells me all I need to know about you.
Oh yeah. Jake's the same way. He finds these raccoon t-shirts at whatever Goodwill that he goes and visits for the week, and he just buys them in droves. So you never know what he's going to show up wearing.
That is hilarious, man. Aaron, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Make sure, if this is your first time jumping in, make sure and jump back and listen to the rest of the turkey series. It is a 5-part series teaching you from the ground up how to turkey hunt, and we have some incredible information being shared, starting with Mr. Waddell in episode 1, just firing us up with some cool, funny turkey stories to get us ready to go turkey hunting, because that's what I need. I just need somebody to get me inspired to go turkey hunting. And then the last 4 teach you how to turkey hunt from the ground up. So make sure and jump in episode 1 of the turkey series and just get fired up for this turkey season and go out and shoot some turkeys. Good luck this spring. I hope you'll go out and shoot. I should say this. That's one of my favorite parts about turkey hunting. That, I say I don't like it, but I do like that it's like super low pressure. Like with a deer, it's always like, oh, dude, his G2's already broken off. I'm just going out. I'm like, if it's a turkey, I'm shooting it, dude. Like that's where I'm at. So
yeah, it's great.
I don't want to say go. There's no Boone and Crockett turkeys. There's no Pope and Young turkeys. So just go out and enjoy turkey hunting. Good luck this spring. And make sure, as always, I would love to share in your success. So if you have gotten fired up about turkey hunting because of this and you go out and shoot a turkey, make sure and send it over to me so I can celebrate in your success with you. Let me talk to you about a company that you all know that I love dearly, and that's Garmin. I love them because I use it every single day. It's here on my wrist. The Garmin wearables are incredible. I've talked about them a ton. However, I also want to talk to you about a couple new products that they just have released. But starting with the wearables, here's what I love most about Garmin. They make incredible wearables that I can rely on in the backcountry for navigation and to stay connected with my kids and my wife back home. However, it's also used in the gym to track my workouts. It's used at night to track my sleep. It's used in the office to get my smart notifications or just answer my phone on it if I need to. It is an incredible smartwatch that's purpose-built for the backcountry. But they also make great everyday wearables for my wife to be able to track her fitness, her sleep, get her smart notifications, listen to her music while she's riding her bike or on a run. They make incredible watches. And the coolest part, they make incredible watches to fit any budget. If you're looking for an incredibly rugged backcountry watch, go with the Instinct, and you don't have to spend a ton of money to have an incredible backcountry navigation watch that's still also going to function as a smartwatch for your everyday life. Or you can go up to something like the Tactics 8 that has the built-in flashlight. Check that out. Built-in flashlight, built-in applied ballistics, incredible GPS mapping on it. They make a watch for everyone in every budget. That's the coolest part about Garmin. However, let me talk to you about a couple new products they've just released. The new C2 chronograph is incredible. I've got a little shop here, a little bow shop here, and I can't take up a lot of room with a chronograph. So the C2 is perfect because it is so small. However, it is a source that I can trust. It builds on the success of its predecessor with faster shot processing and improved features for an experience in a chronograph that you won't find anywhere else. I can promise you that. The coolest part is that it can measure speeds from 100 feet per second all the way up to 5,000 feet per second. Listen, I've got kids, and when they see dad shooting his bow over the chronograph and finding out how fast his arrow's flying, they want to fling their little arrows over it and see how fast their bow is flying. Guess what? It measures those, which is incredibly cool that my kids get to be involved with that process of setting up their bows. And it is compact design, so much so that it can even fit in your pocket. You can view the data on those smartwatches I was just talking about, which again is really cool. Also, it's got rifle mounted solutions, so I can mount that right to my rifle and start measuring those speeds. It can also track up to 10 shots per second, which is insane, with rapid fire support. Now, let's talk about one of the newest, coolest products that Garmin has ever released, and that's the new L60i laser rangefinder. Rangefinders are vitally important for bow hunters and for rifle hunters. You have to have an exact range when making that shot. And when that moment counts, a good range matters. However, this goes further than just being a good rangefinder, and it really rises above the rest, because I'm not only going to see my target through premium glass with a high resolution graphic overlay, but inside of that, it's also going to display mapping and navigation for a more user-friendly, immersive visual experience. So if I range an elk across the mountain, I can now use the navigation inside of that rangefinder to help me get to where I just ranged that elk at. Another thing that I think is important, a lot of times on my elk hunts, you can see your camp from where you're at. It might be a couple miles away, but once you get up to a peak and you're looking for bulls, you can see back down to your camp. Hit the range on that camp, and then it will help me navigate back to camp. Guys, it is an incredible new rangefinder from Garmin. I would highly encourage you to check out the new rangefinder, check out the new chronograph, and if you're not wearing a Garmin wearable, what is wrong with you? If you've got an Apple Watch on your wrist, get out of here. Man, who wants a one-day battery life where I've got to remember to charge my battery every night? It has no mapping. It has no offline maps for me in the backcountry. This thing lasts for 15, 16 days usually for everyday use, and then it's purpose-built for the backcountry. And don't even give me it's too expensive, because, again, they've got a watch in every budget to get you where you need to go. Go check out Garmin and all of their new incredible products. Thank you so much for listening. You guys have a fantastic spring and keep the dusty side up.